What's up, everybody? It's 2024, and today we're going to be talking about what works on YouTube this year in 2024. And let me just say a few things. I've been a content creator since 2008. My name is Benji Travis, and I believe that YouTube has gone through different phases, different eras, but it is still the #1 platform for creators. It is still the #1 search engine that people use outside of Google, obviously, but they kind of work together. Secondly, ranking your videos, optimizing your videos for ranking is still a strategy that works because people are searching for things. And that is probably not going to go away anytime soon, but it takes a lot of work and it can take a lot of time. Third thing, evergreen content. The beauty of YouTube is when you put up a video, it can be relevant this year, next year, in some cases, a decade later. I still have videos I uploaded over 10 years that are still getting views, that are still paying me money. But this year, I believe, based off some changes that happened in the last 12 months, the last few years, there's 3 things I want to talk about that you want to keep your eye on, and it's going to help you, the beginner creator, be able to get into the game and to potentially, crack into the space and gain momentum. First thing is Shorts is still working. In 2023, 50 billion daily views of Shorts. If you're not familiar with it, this is YouTube Shorts, the competitor to TikTok. Obviously, TikTok kind of took the world by storm. It's a huge part of people's daily habits, but YouTube Shorts is working. And I love it for discovery. I also love it because it's easier for people to create content. You're talking 30 seconds, 60 seconds. Easier for you to wrap your brain around that. You can use your phone. You don't need any other devices or hardware or software. You can do it all on your YouTube app. But the one downside about Shorts is revenue. All the creators were waiting for Shorts revenue. So these are the ads that usually pay on normal videos. It just wasn't there. You have to get so many views that it's just really, really tough. So really Shorts is going to be for discoverability, for growth, for getting that silver play button, that gold play button, getting an audience. But you're going to have to figure out other ways to create revenue. But I'll tell you something. This is also TikTok's problem too. They have different revenue opportunities. But one good piece of news for YouTube creators, TikTok is losing some momentum. That is a big deal because one, that's showing you that YouTube is still growing because they have long form. And I can prove this because TikTok is getting into long form content. You're talking, you can upload 15-minute videos. I believe they're going to explore even longer videos. Why would TikTok do that? They're understanding that it's very difficult to run ads on short form content and to pay the creators. And they understand the real game is in that long form, which leads me to the second thing you want to pay attention to in 2024, long form content. So we all know podcasts are a thing. Spotify, YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcast, people are listening to 1, 2, 3 hour long conversations. But what I'm talking about is long form content of just anything. I saw this during the pandemic, hour-long videos that had 1 million+ views. I've been coaching creators for years and years, optimizing their videos, suggesting how to edit, how to plan out, the structure. So it was very normal to be like, hey, try to get your video to 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. If you understand in the space in the last decade, it's all been about put only what's good for the viewer in the videos. Well, the big change I saw in 2023, videos that were longer, relaxed, didn't have as much editing. And for all of us creators who literally became an expert in editing, it's almost like, oh man, it almost seems like unfair. But the opportunity, especially for a beginner creator, is longer videos are in demand and they're actually easier to create. Now, I don't want to discount the fact that there is still value in those videos, and I'll explain more. So definitely subscribe to this channel, follow me, follow my guest, Chris. on here on X Spaces. But the last thing I'll say, the reason I know this is a thing, a YouTube expert, Patty Galloway, mentioned in a podcast I listened to that TV viewership of YouTube is growing. He's seeing it in his analytics. That is so backwards to what I used to say, and I used to hear other YouTube experts say about how the world is going to the phone, right? Everybody's watching their videos on their mobile devices. Well, something happened. They wanted to just relax, sit on the couch, get some popcorn, and they wanted the option of watching content on their television. People have not gotten rid of it. In fact, some of the kids that didn't have TVs are growing up. They're going on Black Friday, buying the Samsung, the Sony, and now they're opening up the YouTube app on there. And just ask yourself, do you really want to be changing videos or picking videos every 1 to 5 minutes? No. So the videos that are longer are perfectly suited for that TV viewing. That is probably one of the biggest little secrets, the little niche types of information that could make the difference between you winning in 2024 and losing in 2024. Longer form content, not necessarily Spotify like podcasts, but just longer videos. Still got to add value. Third thing, kind of on that note, vlogging is back. Now, I'm super biased about this because I'm a vlogger, but for years I heard so many people saying vlogging's dead. This is all the while my wife and I are still vlogging 5 times a week, making a living from it. Our business is based off of it. But the reason to say vlogging is back, a new style of vlogging is back. And why I'm excited to share this with all of you is because the new style of vlogging is perfectly suited for the beginner, not highly produced, not ADD, like not all those jump cuts, right? Though that works obviously on some YouTube videos, especially on shorts, but we're seeing long form content in that vlogging style. Sam Sulek is the greatest example I can give right now. He's this big, bodybuilder. He has a little microphone attached to his shirt. He has a camera that's just sitting on the dashboard of his car. He's driving to the gym. Then he gets to the gym. He puts it on a tripod and he's like lifting, like grunting. And then, so I just had this random thought, you guys. 40, 50, 60-minute videos that get 1 million views. Now, not all of them get 1 million views, but even if it gets 100,000 views, just imagine all the ads that are running. He is making bank. That's a vlog style video. That's long form content. And it's really a throwback to how YouTube started. The reason I believe this is becoming a thing, and you guys tell me in the comments, and when we get people up to ask questions, I would love to hear your thoughts. People want to get back to that casual, connecting type of content. We see this with talking head people, creators. We obviously see this with podcasters because people not only want to listen to podcasts, they want to watch a podcast. I think this is something post-pandemic too that's become even more important. We just want to connect with people. And when you have something highly produced, really nice cameras, really nice lighting, and it looks like a production, it doesn't connect the way something like this does. This is why Clubhouse, X Spaces, even though there's no video, there's this connection because it's just casual. It's a conversation and you feel like you're connecting. So I believe a new style of vlogging is coming back and going back to the long form, a little more relaxed, not as much editing. That's another thing too. You don't have to be the expert editor, but there's definitely things that you want to integrate. I'll be sharing all of that in the next few weeks, next few months. I am back to coaching creators again here on YouTube. I'll be doing a lot of X Spaces, but I want to bring in my first guest of 2024, Chris Derrifieve. Let me tell you a little bit about him. He started a car auto lighting channel called Flyride, made a living full-time. We're talking he's an OG, a decade in the space as a creator. He made this shift to coaching people with his new channel, Shredditor. If you don't know what that is, it's an epic term. Shredditor is basically a shooter, editor, everything. optimizing videos really for YouTube, but any platform. So he has a new channel. And so I'm excited because now he's focusing not only on coaching content creators, coaching people to start creating content, but he's focused on Web3. I believe Web3 still is a huge opportunity and there's so much growth. If you're listening to this and you're in the crypto scene, you're in the NFT scene, you're just in Web3, right now is like the gold rush and you don't even know it because there's so few creators taking at the high levels. It's like 2005, 6, and 7 of YouTube. And Chris knows this. If you started back then, you could lay the foundation for this amazing career, this amazing business, this amazing lifestyle around what you're passionate about what you love. And so, Chris, without further ado, thank you so much for being on the show. Introduce yourself, whatever I'm missing, and then tell me your thoughts about YouTube and what's important for creators to know in 2024.
Well, dude, first off, I'm just so excited you're back.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm back.
Like, listen, it was right in the middle of the pandemic. Most things were still closed down. And Clubhouse was just this thing. And it was such a fun outlet to connect with voices. And one thing that you said right now that it definitely makes so much sense in my head is that post-pandemic, we're interested in a little bit different stuff and mainly the connection. And I think that giving us that connection that we had because we had audio, even though, obviously we're talking about video right now, but the audio, it gave us this connection that I don't think we'd ever had before. Where you could just take anybody. It was like a radio show. And then now you're in it. Now you get to be part of it. You don't just listen to it. It's not one-sided. You're in the conversation. And so now I think that has impacted the way that people look at wanting to make content where it's not just one-sided and it's not overly produced and it doesn't make somebody feel detached, like they actually get to be a part of it and go along for the ride. Dude, I'm so excited about the next period of time, the next meta for video creators that get to just show up, be themselves, grow a community, and kind of share their life with other people and invite them into it. Because boy, is that a better feeling than, okay, I have 8 seconds before I lose people's attention.
Yes.
How many different visuals can I pack in and overwhelm them? Like, how does that have anything to do with who I am as a person?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah. And in a practical piece of advice for people, I know a lot of short form creators who became mega famous and in a lot of ways mega successful, but what they're seeing is it's not sustainable and there's something missing. And me being the old fogey, right, the grandpa of the space, they are asking me like, hey, how do I get into long form content? And now, because I just started this experiment where I've been doing food vlogs on my food channel again and been seeing some really healthy numbers there, just the long form content is a place to be. And I mentioned this during the beginning. AdSense, do not discount AdSense, no pun intended. It is important to be able to make a living as a creator, and AdSense can be a major part of that. Even if it's a minor part of your overall revenue, and YouTube is the only place that's been able to do it. Short form, you can't do it. And like you said, Chris, a lot of people are kind of tired of that like jump cutty type of content. And what I'm telling you is I'm giving you permission to, one, be yourself, but be the more true, authentic version that doesn't seem robotic, produced, or even like, in some cases fake. And that's what people want. And once they like you, right? Which the way people like you is you show up a lot and that connection over a long period of time. I think this is what happened with Clubhouse. They would just listen to you for hours. Now, this ain't for everybody. You've got to have something valuable to say. You have to be entertaining. You got to be humorous, or you got to be informative, educational. You've got to be, even if it's just chemistry, right? If people see that you're having fun in the conversation, that's the beginning of long form content. And so, Chris, any other thoughts before we bring people up for Q&A? Because I really want to answer some questions. But before that, why don't you just kind of like put the icing on the cake here?
Of course. Hey, listen, if anybody ever needs somebody who could just talk for prolonged periods of time without stopping, I'm your guy. So I'm always down to talk. This is what I would say though on the subject and for the exact audience. I see so many awesome people that are here on X Spaces, which if you don't know, it's the newer and continuous version of the audio platform like we used to have on Clubhouse. Now people do that on Twitter. And I usually just call it Twitter because let's face it, like
Right.
saying faces is people are like, what the hell is that? We're talking to our friends on Twitter. That's what's happening right now. And I could say, man, there are people that I have listened to for hours here that I've never seen a single piece of content of theirs outside of space. I've never seen a long video of them. I would be interested to learn more about their life, to connect with them, like, and know what they're about, know what it looks like when they start their mornings or throughout their day. Like, super interesting people that have held my attention with audio only. Of course they can hold my attention with video as well, right? And so I think there's a massive opportunity for people who have found success on social audio and building an audience there, that those people may have never built an audience anywhere else. And I'm like, now is the time, 2024, for being authentic, for being yourself, and just letting people see more and just continuously putting out that video, showing up like they have been on audio, but now taking that next step and then diversifying so that they're not only on X. Because, man, can I tell you, I've seen people build big platforms here, and then 1 second it gets shut down and they have lost contact with their entire audience and they exist nowhere else on the internet. And that, if you don't think that's vulnerable, man, it's wild. The fact that people aren't building anywhere else. So YouTube, I think, is always going to be just such a great place to build.
100%. That one thing I just want to echo is what you said. If you're known on any platform, including YouTube or Twitter, and people know you for something, they do want more, especially if they're a fan. And this is why I say vlogging is back. People want the behind the scenes. They want the extended version. Now, naturally, how you present that and what you show off and what you share is up to you. But this is what I can tell you as a vlogger who's built an audience of over 2 million subscribers through vlogging. People just start becoming super fans and they want to know everything about what it is that you think in relation to the theme or the niche that you're part of, but everything around it as well. They become your friends. It's just it's this crazy thing. And then long form content is there. And then that's where a lot of the opportunities. Now, I don't do this specifically just because we can make money, but what I've found is because we have done this, we can make a lot of money. We can have opportunities to make this our lifestyle. So, hey, who's the first person, Chris, that we want to bring up for a Q&A? And if someone's shy or if they're just shy, we have a Nuclear over here too running the stream that can also ask a question.
This is wild for me that to have somebody who's actually doing production as well. Shout out to my boy Primo. He's my guy that I've been showing the behind the scenes stuff when we're doing our live streams as well, and like controlling the stage and moving things around. It's always nice to have that guy in your corner. So shout out to Primo. But I brought up my boy Wiz, and I'm also going to bring up my friend Hattie. And again, we are on X Spaces. And yeah, I want to throw it over to Wiz and just say, what's up, man? I saw that you were requesting for a while back. I know that you've been super interested in the video content. And Wiz is actually somebody who's pretty close to where I go every Thursday night for a really cool Venice Beach, that whole thing I was telling you about earlier, a really cool live stream production there. So anybody here, if you have access to IRL events where people are producing live streams or they're doing video stuff and all that, just go check it out. It could be one of the coolest experiences for you to learn and just network and meet people that are doing cool stuff. So without further ado, Wiz, my boy, welcome to the stage. I would love if you have any questions for Benji or myself to drop them. And you're here on the Video Influencers live stream as well. So what's up, my man? How you doing?
Yeah, hi. Thanks for having me on. I've been a fan of what you've been doing on the Twitter Spaces for quite some time now. You've been a regular part of my Twitter Space diet, which I tend to keep limited. the 2 hours I spend on here, to be honest, I think you really make it worth my while. So I'm really thankful for that. And I have two questions, actually, if I may. Um, the first one pertains to writing as a medium and format, right? A lot of what I do is writing. The moniker I go by is Whispill. And what I'm doing effectively is discussing the intersection of arts, culture, and tech. And I picked that one specifically because I'm sort of in this like mid corner where, on one hand, I talk to filmmakers, on the other hand, I talk to singers, songwriters, basically people from the creative community in general have an interest in my stuff. But on the other hand, so do the tech people because I've covered ChatGPT before, I've covered blockchain as well, and I'm trying to come up with a better way to synthesize that stuff and convert it into video at some point because I have been told that what I've put down to paper essentially are video essays. So I wanted to hear some takes on that if you guys have any.
Benji, dude, what's your take on video essays? That's a great question.
Yeah. Well, well, if you think about any format in terms of video, it's just mini essays, right? Taking different forms. Of course, some people tell stories, some people tell jokes, some people just have interesting conversations. That's what all podcasts are. If it's interesting, if it's informative, if somebody gets some kind of value out of it and they're entertained by it, it can become a video and go on to YouTube. You know, one of the secrets to succeeding on this platform is different is better. So if there isn't anything, and maybe the reason you've been hesitant to pursue this is because it's like so off the wall, it's not something you've ever seen, try it out. And you know what? What do you have to lose? You know, it sounds like you want to tap into the video space, tap into YouTube. You want to become a creator beyond just the writing. By the way, writing is still a huge in-demand type of thing. I was talking to a friend of mine who's helping me in the creator space right now, and he was just telling me about a whole bunch of websites that it's just somebody writing since 2001. They're just writing a blog posts, right? But if you turn it into a video and you're reading it, it's really ultimately about what is the value in the words. Do people not only get interested, but are they curious about every single time you put out something, what are you going to say? I don't know exactly what it is that you talk about, but I think it's totally worth a try. The good thing about writing too, you can literally just read it. You write it all out. You know, before I started this live stream, I wrote out my notes. You can say, look, you guys, this is my notes on one piece of paper. So I'm a writer now. And all I did was I took that writing and I put it into this conversation. I'm looking at the camera. That's the only difference. So as a writer, you literally have a script. Now, of course, I talked about connection, and part of connection is having that real life kind of feel to it. But I remember one of the most powerful keynote speeches I ever heard in my life was the actual guy from the Catch Me If You Can movie, the one with Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks, the kid that was forging checks and got caught by the FBI and then helped the FBI. I actually heard him speak in person at this huge event. He read his whole speech, and it's almost as if, I don't think for sure if he is, but it's like he was on the spectrum, right? Like maybe didn't have that same kind of personality. Definitely wasn't like a Leonardo DiCaprio, but even in the movie, Leonardo kind of played him as kind of like antisocial privately, even though he was an extrovert when he was like conning people. But he read everything line for line for line. And I listened to every single word because the story was so fascinating. This is post me watching the movie. So I already knew what the end was going to be like. And we find this all the time with books. I love reading books, and I used to love reading, fiction books, ones that were, people's fantastical stories. My favorite was Star Wars. When I read the book, even though I'd watch the movies, the book was even more interesting. There's more details. There's extended parts. There's stories that weren't in the movie. So what I'd say is, I'm saying all that to tell you it's absolutely possible. not only from my own experience reading books myself and being fascinated by things I already saw in a movie, or watching someone speak and he's literally reading line for line. He's like holding the paper right there, and he's a huge keynote speaker, probably got paid $100,000 at a huge convention. Was that reading line for line for line? And if he did that every single week, once a week, I would be interested if that was the type of content. So that's a long answer to saying, just try it. Just do it. 2024 is the year of do it now.
Not only that, you could do it now with a lot of help. You want your voice to sound like the guy that would read Lord of the Rings to you, and it's got to have that deep kind of British accent or something. Like, throw it on one of the millions of AI kind of like text to audio generators that you could do. Like, I played around with
just like this, so you can tell stories with a deep
just have Benji read it. And to that point, one of the funnest things, so we were geeking out earlier with our Rodecaster Pro 2s that we could change our voice and do all this fun stuff. You could play with that, and you could do that on places like Twitter Spaces as well, and play around with it. But as far as making video essays, a lot of really good examples out there. James Janney is one that just does these, over the top, huge 45-minute, 50-minute, hour videos. And every second of those videos, as you're watching it, you were like glued to the screen. So I think we've chatted before, Wiz, in DMs about James Janney being a good example. But I also think that there's something to be said about this long form, like you reading the thing and you connecting. That is always where my heart is at, with like, you have a face that is going to be received better from somebody else than someone else's face. You have a voice that is going to be received differently than someone else's voice. We're all unique. We all have our own thing. So even if you're talking about the same subject, literally just you delivering that, reading from that paper, is going to be different, and it's going to attract a different audience than somebody else, which means everybody's got a shot. Like, that's not oversaturated. It's not, someone else did that, so I can't now. Like, you could literally read the same page and it will be different content because it came from you. So, man, I just say the low-hanging fruit, friction's the enemy. Like, just hop on screen, read from a page, and then go from there, because I really think everybody could be making video essays if they're a blogger, or if they're just going throughout their day, throwing that camera.
It's basically like an audiobook at that point, right? Like, how many people that love to read actually love audiobooks as much, if not more? So that's all I'd say. Did that answer your question, Wiz?
I needed to unmute real quick, but yes, it did answer my question, although it was more thorough than I expected, which is fine, right? This is kind of what I expected and signed up for. And the second question I had for you guys specifically pertains to podcasting. Quite a significant amount of my material actually includes podcasts, because what I've done essentially is that I've created companion pieces that happens to be articles that are directly related to said podcast episodes, of which I have well over 100 hours now at this point. So I have plenty of backlog content as is already, and I'm curious to know any takes you guys have in terms of repurposing that content in the context of YouTube.
So is it recorded or it's just written?
It's all recorded audio. Oh,
recorded audio. Yeah. There's something about novelty. People like the new, And so it's so tempting, because I have a friend that's coaching me, and business coach, and he keeps saying, Benji, you have 10 years of content. You can like repurpose it and do a blog and a website and whatever. It's like, what's interesting? I've been testing this out on my food channel. I have a video that's a little bit older that I put up because I put it up in a different format. It didn't perform as well as I thought, even though the initial upload did really well. And that's really a vlogging kind of thing. Vlogging specifically. So it's a little bit different than writing, but you don't want people to know it's old. So what I would do is just re-record it. I personally think re-recording it today. And if they know it's today, there's something. This, and you know what's ironic about all this is the fact that we're on X Spaces as well. The appeal of Spaces, of Clubhouse, of audio platforms, it's happening right now, especially in the crypto space, NFT space, investing space. People want to know the information right now. Now, I know you're talking about stories that you're written are, like that are timeless, but telling them now, there is something novel about that. Versus just hearing something old. Now, don't get me wrong. Of course, audiobooks, they do well no matter what, and they're recorded once. My book, YouTube Secrets, I recorded it, the original one back in 2018, the new one just a couple of years ago. And so people are going to listen to that forever. But when it comes to YouTube specifically, because I've actually seen this, people that did have a lot of content from decades ago, even before YouTube, and then they just kind of upload it, it doesn't tend to do as well as content that the viewer thinks, at least, or knows is in the now. Like, it's from now. People want the new. It's just like the new car smell. Everybody loves the new car smell. I personally think, I love classic cars, but man, when you get that new car, there's something about that smell versus the old classic car that smells like someone smoked in it, or it's been through a few owners. So that's what I would tell you. And I think it's a real thing. I know it's a real thing. I know because I'm a vlogger that does it daily, and there's something about understanding that was uploaded and that was recorded in the last 24, 48 hours, and people appreciate that. And I do believe it applies to your writing. And I know that's more work, but the one thing that's going to make you better as a video creator is practice, practice, practice. Get your reps in by reading your writing.
That's right, man. You don't benefit from push-ups from reading about them. Got to do them. That's the worst. It's funny because in this tech space, this Web3 space, there's a lot of AI people as well. There's a lot of conversation. Will AI change everything? Is there any point? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yes. We want to connect with humans. I've never watched a piece of AI content and said, "Oh my God, I want to connect with that robot." Like that'd be the best new friend because I'm like, I know it's not real. It's a freaking robot. Like I don't want to go connect and go out of our way. Except on the flip side of that, you got Wiz, who's like, "Oh, you go to an event that's close to my studio, dude. Let's connect. Let's actually show up." You wouldn't be doing that if you were watching content from a robot. But instead, you heard a real guy who's showing up on Twitter Spaces, showing up to IRL events, making videos. Like all these different touch points are why there's that idea of like, well, maybe I could go get a coffee with this guy or drink a beer with this guy or whatever it might be. That wouldn't happen. That connection wouldn't be made if it was just like, again, the AI reading it for you. Okay, that was ridiculously thorough, and I loved it. Wiz, my guy, we could have just wrote you another book right there with just those answers. But I wanted to pass it over to my guy, Hattie, if he's available. Hattie, meet Benji. Benji, Hattie has 7 kids.
Whoa.
My guy, you a run for your money.
I got 5 kids, so respect, Hattie. What's your question?
Yeah, so I was kind of thinking through it as you were talking, but like when you first said you did daily vlogs, that like to me it kind of felt overwhelming. Like how could you commit to that? Does that ever feel like a prison sentence to have to do that? But then I was thinking like I did YouTube religiously for like 2 years. I never got any like explosive growth, but I think I know the reasons why I didn't. There's lots of things I could have done better, but for me, I put a lot of pressure on myself. Maybe it's like the perfectionism. Like I feel like I'm a perfectionist. But like whenever you finished a video, you felt this huge like feeling of like you got this momentum, right? Like you felt proud of it, and that's kind of what would push you into the next one. And I would be excited to start the next project. But like, my question is like, how do you get over that perfectionism? Maybe that's not something you struggle with, but like, I feel like everything I put out has to be super polished to even have a chance to compete with some of these bigger guys. So I was wondering if you could touch more on that.
100%. First off, I don't feel like it's a prison sentence. And I think that's the difference between your perception and my perception. It's an opportunity. And I know that when I upload, my wife uploads, when we upload and we do those reps, guess what? We're getting stronger. We're getting better. And it shows in our success, in our results, in our lifestyle. Perception is going to be key here. Number one, don't look at it as like what you said, like a death sentence or prison sentence. Look at it as an opportunity to grow and to get better, and that you're building your foundation, you're building your house, you're building your castle. Secondly, perfectionism, I believe, is a good thing if you use it in the right way. You even mentioned there's things you could have done that would have made your videos better. Pursue that. Now, I'm definitely not a perfectionist, but you know what? Some of the greatest YouTubers are perfectionists. Is it a bad thing? No, I think it's what makes them great. They're pursuing the best of the best. My wife, to a certain degree, is a perfectionist. It's crazy. She can take a 10-minute edited video of mine and edit it down, I'm not kidding, to 3 minutes. She's like, this only needs to be 3 minutes long. She's a perfectionist. Yeah, she's all about that choppy, like edited, highly produced, kind of almost ADD type of content. Not like in an extreme way, but I appreciate that. But that comes because she's edited 4,000 videos. So I would embrace your perfectionism, use it the right way, but also give yourself permission that say it's not, still upload it. Because I'll tell you, I uploaded 30 food vlogs in 30 days. None of them were perfect. Definitely not perfect. But am I glad I uploaded them? Yes, because they got a lot of views and they made me some money. And I was able to connect with an audience. The most important thing, grow my audience. I was going negative before I did the 30 vlogs. Now I'm positive. I'm going to keep this up. So I think that both the perception of, what it is that you're doing and what it's going to require, as well as the perception of perfection being a good thing versus a bad thing, I think is where you start. And, when I hear your story about like, oh, I was in it for 2 years and have explosive growth, I know it's so cliche, but we see that little image of the two guys digging the gold mine and that gold being right at the edge of the 2 years. And there's one person that turns around and gets out of the mine, and then the other person that goes a little bit farther. That is how YouTube works. That is how life works. And it is something, we talk about in this book. By the way, if you're listening and you want the new textbook for how to crush on YouTube Secrets, this is our second edition. We've sold over 100,000 copies, and we just wrote the better version of it, which is bigger than the last version. So it's relevant. Buy it. But in there, we mentioned this. Our last thoughts is that you would find something that you love so much that you would live your life no matter what the outcome was and not quit because it's something you're so passionate about. That is my secret. That is our secret to sustaining daily vlogs. It used to be 7 days a week, and we thought, hey, let's get a weekend in. So now it's 5 days, right? And we don't foresee ourselves stopping it. And we don't look at it as a negative because we love that it's a documentary of our life. It's a daily diary from my wife. And then we can live our life. That's for me personally. By the way, I'm not suggesting everybody become a daily vlogger. When I talk about vlogging is back, there's ways to vlog where you only can do it 1 or 2 weeks. Those videos I mentioned that are an hour long that have 1 million views, they're not doing that every single day. In fact, they're doing it once a week, once every other week. So there's things that you're going to learn in time, but this is a huge opportunity, and most people are going to miss it, and they're going to regret it 10 years from now. Ask yourself this. Do you want to be that person that regrets that you didn't start today because it was too hard, or you're fearful, or you're like worried about what other people thought? Or do you want to be the person 10 years from now that looks back and like, thank God I started in January of 2024, even if it was slow, even if it was difficult, even if it was like, I could have maybe relaxed and enjoyed life a little bit more, because I'll tell you, all the hustle, all the hard work, all the stress, blood, sweat, and tears, 100% worth it. And I mean, like I don't really share a lot about my life in terms of the finances or, you know, like the flashy things. And Chris knows I'm not a flashy guy, right? I love Corvettes. Again, I'm an old man, right? I don't have one, but I love the life we live because we're free to do what we want with who we want. And for me personally, my passion is food. I don't think about how much I spend for food. And that's all a result of what we've done on YouTube, on social media, and the videos that we created. And I hope for you and for anybody listening that's thinking about it, that you can have that life too, whatever it's going to revolve around. But if you haven't started, it starts today. If you have started and you haven't got traction, keep going. Get better, improve, pursue perfection. And if you are one of those creators who are burnt out, man, light it up again. But find whatever that new light is. Because I'll tell you, my wife is the example. There's evolutions you have to go through. You just don't be fearful of it. Don't fear starting from zero. Even though video influencers, I mean, it's been going on for years. We have a certain, hundreds of thousands of subscribers. I still feel like today is day zero, right? Day one. And that's okay. It's a good feeling because when you're starting at the beginning, there's this motivation like, oh, I got to work my ass off. I got to go back to boot camp. I got to learn, all the new techniques. And so hopefully you're hearing the energy and the motivation in my voice, because that's what you need to get back into your life. Because instead of you telling me, oh, I tried for 2 years, I want you to be like, yeah, the last 2 decades were amazing.
Dude, here's something, Hattie, I got to just say before you respond, and then I want to hear back from you. To his point, Hattie's an amazing artist. Hattie has 10,000 subscribers on his YouTube channel. 2 years. Like, listen.
That's respect. That's amazing.
It's amazing. I've heard Casey Neistat talk about that the 10K was way harder than the 100K. And the 100K was easier or was harder than the million. And so, like, to that point, somebody like Hattie, super talented, great on video. And it's one of those, if there's anybody that we want to reignite and get fired up, it is this guy, Hattie, the creator with 7 kids. Let's go, baby. Okay, back over to you, Hattie.
Well, I just want to respond to it. I mean, where you said, like, I'm so grateful I started. I feel that way 100% because doing the YouTube kind of got me, because I did an art channel, and doing that kind of got me being more creative again. I was working this soul-sucking job in a cubicle to support my family. 7 kids isn't cheap to feed.
Totally.
But because I did that, it got me like my creative skills sharp, and then I kind of pivoted into
100%.
Web3 and NFTs. So I know for a fact that wouldn't have happened. And like, I just recently had the honor to draw the collection for Megadeth Digital, which is a pretty well known band and stuff, and that all came because I did start YouTube. So I agree with everything you said 100%. I did kind of get deflated with YouTube, I'll be honest. And I did kind of have like a family channel where I did little skits and stuff with my kids. And then that whole ad cut on family channels kind of happened, and that kind of deflated me there. But no, 100%. I'm thrilled I started. It opened up so many doors for me. And honestly, it's made this last 2 years a wild ride.
I love it, man. Dude, I'm just super happy that you popped up here. And for everybody else that heard that kind of message, about Hattie, and as well as the answers for Wiz, like, I hope there's some similarity or something that you could take from that and apply to your story as well. We're going to wrap with Joe Photoshop right now. And I'm just grateful for everybody that came up with questions, and we're going to keep doing this stuff. So when you see me and Benji live again, don't hold back the questions. Don't feel weird. Your questions that you ask may be giving answers to a ton of other people in the space or watching the live stream as well. So we always appreciate when people come up with questions. But Joe, how you doing, my man? What do you got for me and Benji?
Yo, happy Saturday, my friends. I love the space. Tons of great information. I used to be a video editor, and you guys are actually getting me hyped to create video content again. So that's something I haven't done in a while. I turned to graphic design, and that's a lot more of where I've sunk my teeth into lately. And my question for you guys pertains specifically to thumbnails and how you feel about them and their importance in your content that you're putting out, as I'm working with a couple of brands right now to kind of improve their brand identity through thumbnails, and if you had any tips for that, I'd love to hear.
Chris, you want to
Okay.
take this, or I got some thoughts?
One thing really quick, and you'll appreciate because I'm gonna tee you up, my man. So, oddly enough, one of the best places that I've ever learned about thumbnails was from reading out of a hard book. Like, that doesn't make any sense, right? It's so visual. Like we're thinking about things like, oh, you should watch a tutorial, whatever. I would say this about thumbnails. It's 100% an in your head kind of situation. Like, it's all about human psychology and understanding, like, what is it that story is getting somebody interested enough in that they're going to look up and read a little description about that picture. And the way that title works with that picture, that works with what they're about to see in the first few frames of that video. This is all psychology. So I would say if you have the opportunity to get in and read about this stuff from someone who's taken the time and has the receipts, who's gone through it and done it, and then they pack information into a book like Benji and Sean have done, take that opportunity, because I think we find it so easy to learn from people on YouTube that almost like we don't want to go the higher education route, crack open a book and actually learn some facts, right? So anyway, without further ado, Benji, tell them about thumbnails, man.
I 100% agree with Chris. I think the psychology of the thumbnail is as important, if not more important, than the graphics part of it. Because I've seen amazing thumbnails that had no graphics on it, that they didn't even add like text or any kind of emoji or did any enhancing. And in fact, you hear this from thumbnail. You're gonna show our thumbnail. Show our thumbnail first, okay? Okay, that ain't fancy. In fact, Neutrally, here, show yourself, Neutrally. Why don't you say hi?
What's going on, guys? How you enjoying the live?
He created that with a free, thumbnail creator earlier today.
Like 5 minutes, all right.
Yeah, but we actually, funny enough, we did work on it for like 20 minutes, right? But speaking to what Chris said, the psychology, because remember, it's a human looking at the image and what is going to hook their attention. And it's just a representation of what's in the video. And it doesn't have to be super fancy. And if you look at the greatest of all time, it's probably Mr. Beast when it comes to thumbnails. More and more, he's saying make it less fancy, right? Make it more simple. He's trying to really tone it down and simplify. Always has a face in it. I think there's something about faces, because I know this for a fact. I learned this from that 30 days of vlogging sprint. All the thumbnails that were suggested were almost all including faces, or where the eyes were like buggy like this. And creators have been doing that. So the psychology is one. The second part in this, Joe, that's your name, right, Joe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't see anything on Twitter's faces right now. I would say the fact that you're an editor is a great thing. This is why I love what Chris launched, which is Shredditor, his new YouTube channel, because everyone should become a Shredditor. By the way, me getting back into the game, recording content, uploading to YouTube is because I know inherently I need to become that Shredditor to a certain degree. You have to learn the whole process. The best thumbnail will not fix a crappy video, but an amazing video will make up for a crappy thumbnail. But if it was a good thumbnail and a great video, you're off to the races. Now, of course, title is included. So it's all the things. It's not just one of the things. And Joe, this is your leverage. This is your strength that you were an editor. By the way, the biggest compliment you paid to me is the fact that you're getting pumped up, that you want to edit. Have fun. When you're pumped up, inspired, motivated, you're going to have more fun. And when you're having more fun, anything that you're doing is way more sustainable. So that's the last message I want to leave with anybody. What Joe said, I hope that's happening for you. And if it isn't, keep listening to these spaces. Chris and I, we can literally talk for hours. We're going to try to keep it controlled within 30 and 60 minutes. We'll be very practical with the time, but that would be the greatest gift we can give to anybody, that little spark, right? help you to keep going. And so the reason I say this in relation to what you asked, Joe, about thumbnails, you're going to find the answers. It's just going to take a lot of work, not just asking people like Chris and I, but reading the books, like he said, looking at YouTube. One of the ways I look at how to make thumbnails better is whatever I want to rank for, whatever I'm searching that's related to my video idea, I look at the other creators' thumbnails. And I'm asking myself, why are these videos, one, being ranked up high, and why are people clicking? And what you'll find is oftentimes the answers you think are, the right ones aren't what is, making these videos clickable. But it's a combination of all of them. The last thing I'll say, definitely in regards to thumbnail, but more emphasizing the video, the reason videos get views, the reason YouTube promotes them or suggests them is because they keep them on the platform. Going back to the first thing I said, if you can create a long video that's interesting, that's better than 10 shorter videos. YouTube just knows it's going to keep you in there. Now, I want to correct that a little bit. YouTube does love running ads. So that's 10 different ads or whatever, right? They're doing a little balancing act. But what I'm seeing in 2024 right now is more casual content that's a little easier to produce, that is still optimized. It's integrating all the best practices, good title, good thumbnail, a takeaway, something that's interesting, a topic that people want, and the video is high quality. But it doesn't have to be highly produced. It's just good because it's giving the audience what they want. If you do that, that is the beginning of greatness when it comes to being a creator and having a successful YouTube channel. So hopefully that answers it and gives you a little bit extra. But I do apologize. I want to do more of these, but like the previous person that asked question, I got 5 kids, so I got to get back to those kids. I'm gonna cook some food. I'm actually probably gonna do a little food vlog. But pumped to be here, Chris. Any last things or anything you want to ask me, or we're gonna land the plane here. And you guys leave your questions in the comments too on video influencers, so that we can answer them on future broadcasts.
Yeah, I mean, first off, just thanks, Benji, for and Nuccially as well. Like, thank you for figuring out. I don't know if anybody in X Spaces has realized, but we're on a video live stream. Benji is using his mic. I'm using my mic. We don't sound terrible. We're not sharing like, all these things are the best experience that you can have while you're able to come in and learn like a live show. So the fact that this is here, I'm grateful I get to be part of it. I hope everybody else is happy that they're going to get to come in and learn as well with me, with Benji, and learn from each other.
And Nuccially.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for all the sound nerds out there, what we're talking about, what we are doing. I know this is super nerdy. That's actually another thing I want to talk about. I have if you follow me on Instagram, Benjamin TV, I have a broadcast channel called Creator Secrets. If you guys want all my secrets, I'm going to try to post a lot more, but I put in my, just random thoughts that are relevant for creators. One of the things I said was nerd out. If you've got something that you're nerdy in, people want to hear that. Going back to the question about writing, if it's something that's like super, just like the nerds would just listen for hours and hours, that's the type of content YouTube wants, and that's the kind of content that viewers want. And this is why back in the day on Clubhouse, people would be nerding out for hours and hours and hours. And it just takes somebody willing to do that. And this is why I believe long form content is more relevant, why vlogging is back in a certain format around something very nerdy, right? Nerds are winning on YouTube. That's one of the things too. YouTube made nerds cool, okay? And I'm proud to be a nerd about YouTube, about the creator economy, about being a creator. So you guys, thank you so much. Chris, why don't you just land the plane here, your last thought, and then we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, that's it. I'm excited. I really do look forward to this. I look forward to seeing the kind of content that people start putting onto the platform. And the last little bit, man, my kids, they watch YouTube on the TV. And long content on the TV that's not changing every 10 minutes. That is way easier, and it's way better for me to watch. If I'm cooking dinner or something like that, to have the TV on, huge opportunities out there for us. I hope you guys take part in it. I hope you join us on future shows. And with that, we're going to close down the X space, the Twitter space. And again, hey, thank you to Neutrally and to Benji for having me as well today.
Yeah. Peace out, everybody.
See you guys.